Yeah. And then if you had and then you had for July, August, there also in 5th August 2022. We always do in Akan, I mean, our local diary. But today, we're shifting it to the other side because my guest is not fluent in Akan, so we do English. He is the former minister for Western Region, regional minister, Northern regional minister, then a member of parliament contest for WALEWALE in the name of NDC. Wants to be a member of parliamentary candidate for NDC 2020 election, WALEWALE. He once upon a time a regional minister. When he was a regional minister for the Northern region, the region was big. Then we don't have Savannah, we don't have the Northeast. So now we have Savannah, we have Northeast. He's a son of the soil for WALEWALE. My guest, Honorable Abubakar Abdullah. Abdullah. It's been years, Honorable.
Thank you so very much.
How are you?
I'm doing very well.
How is the family?
The family, Alhamdulillah, everybody is good.
Who is Abdullah?
Abubakar.
Abubakar.
I'm affectionately called Abuba by everybody because the Abubakar is kind of official, but I'm known by everybody as Abuba. And to ask the question about who I am, I will simply just say that you've introduced me very immaculately when you said I'm a son of the soil of WALEWALE. That is exactly who I am.
Before you became honorable, someone gave birth to you. You have siblings.
Okay.
Your educational background.
Yeah.
So can you brief us?
I'm a son of a very popular Islamic cleric in that Mamprogo enclave who was known as Abdullah Madaha. So before I became honorable, I was popularly known as Abuba Alhaji Madaha's son. I have 7 siblings. 6 of us are all boys of the same mother, with 1 girl from another mother. I'm the second of the family in terms of the nuclear family. I started my education thanks to the government of Ghana, and then who thought that it was very important for them to be able to mobilize the Muslim community whose children were out of school. And you know that Muslim parents in northern Ghana actually were very skeptical about sending their children for Western education because of the perception that going for Western education is a sure route of being an Islamic or getting out of the religion. So it was quite difficult for people of Muslim background and Muslim communities to be in school. So the then government thought it wise that they needed a very good strategy and affirmative action that could harvest all children of Ghana into school. And they targeted the existing Islamic schools, which are popularly known as Makaranta or Madrasa or whatever you choose to call it. And at that time, they were purely for Islamic studies. And there were a lot of young people like me who were there that wouldn't go to school to acquire secular education because of that. So the then government thought it wise to introduce this concept that I said, affirmative action, to entice Muslim communities to send their children. So they introduced Western and secular education into these madrasas and turn them into schools where we then have English, Arabic. Proprietors of these schools and teachers of the Islamic Arabic studies were also put on government payroll as teachers. And I am telling you that it is one of the best things that has ever happened to the Muslim community in Ghana, because people of my generation, those older and some before me, you realize that most of them got to go to school through this process. So I attended a school which is defunct now, Hasimia English Arabic Primary School, that I did my primary education, and then later on went to a popular middle school. That's the old system. From primary, you go to middle school, where we used to do what they used to call Form 4. So I went to what they call WALEWALE English Arabic Middle School, where I did my middle school education and completed in 1986. So I actually completed.
So, you continue from there, but on my story show, we have a tradition that we do. You share the link to your people. I've sent you the link, so that if your phone is with you, you can send it to your friends for them to send. Maybe your former workers who also ask questions. I don't know whether your phone is with you.
Actually, I've switched off the phone.
Oh, okay.
But I shared it earlier to a lot of people. So those of you who are listening
and watching, they can go to YouTube.
Ganu, Majid, and all the guys who are listening, because we share this on the Northeast platform. Please kindly
send your
let
comment.
It go viral and send comments.
Okay. So, Honorable, as you said, 86.
Yeah, 1986.
So,
I completed middle school English Arabic.
Okay. So what were you doing? Your mom, your parents, what were they doing? As 7 children they have, and you being are you the
The
elder?
second.
The second.
Yeah.
So the rest, what were they doing?
Actually, my elder brother also got the opportunity to go through school. My younger brother, he dropped out of school and was an Islamic student. So myself and my elder brother actually, and then the fourth born succeeded in going to school through that system. The rest of them are all other farmers or business people or involved in this Islamic, spreading Islam and studying Islamic studies. So my father,
Were you living in another region?
I was born bred in WALEWALE. I never left WALEWALE until I was supposed to go to Tamasco for sixth form after my O level in WALEWALE Secondary School.
So let's you know those days, and even not still the northern part of the countries where people do farming, and when you talk about poverty, I'm not I don't want to random, yeah, but poverty is most we are actually to the northern part of the country.
Yeah.
You from WALEWALE, then WALEWALE was not popular like this.
Yeah.
So tell us what you went through, education, farming, parents. What was the motivation for you to do those stuff?
I will speak generally about WALEWALE. Truly speaking, at that time, two important things were the backbone of WALEWALE's economy: business and farming. And business because the market in WALEWALE seems to be a cereal market where you can buy all kinds of food stuff and all that. And they were also used to supply food to the Upper East through Bolga and other places. So businesses were booming at that time, and there were also big time farmers around that time. However, coming back to my family, my father really wanted to raise us as God-fearing religious people. So his condition was not on for us to engage in any other thing except to stay home and learn the Islamic religion. So he never even allowed us to kind of support anybody in business. So I have never done business in my life before because he really wanted to groom us and raise us strictly as people who will abide by the Islamic principles and know our religion. So he really wanted us to, the preoccupation he wanted us to be involved in was to be Islamic cleric, particularly myself. My daddy his desire was to make him an Islamic cleric. So life in WALEWALE, and because of that, because he was actually not involved in any business, because he spent his life serving God.
Okay.
Every activity that he got involved in was about spreading Islam, involved in activities of the religion in WALEWALE. So he basically
was educated. Let me correct the education doesn't mean sitting in a classroom.
Exactly.
But was your father?
He was an extreme literate in Arabic because he was a fluent speaker of Arabic language.
He's educated in Arabic.
He was basically even more. He was also a teacher because he had a lot of students learning under him. And then he also became more like the key interpreter in WALEWALE because every Islamic cleric that traveled through WALEWALE wanted to preach. If he couldn't speak the local dialect, my father was the one who would translate. And he also was multilingual. Okay. He traveled a lot, so he spoke so many languages, and he could even translate. When someone is preaching in Arabic, he could translate. So he spent his life serving God. And for that matter, I can't say he was a rich man, but I don't also a poor man. He succeeded in raising us.
Giving birth to 7 children is not easy. Yeah. So raising them.
Yeah.
So where is your dad?
He's late. He passed on in 2010, but he's so rest in perfect.
Oh, okay. So from WALEWALE as your sixth form, you did your sixth form, right?
Yes. When I finished middle school in 1986, I got enrolled. In fact, when I finished middle school in 1986, my father, because he wanted me to become an Islamic cleric, he had the intention to send me to a very good friend of his in Burkina Faso, a community called Rahmatullah, where there was a sheikh there, Sheikh Rahmatullah. I've forgotten the name. Sheikh Mohammed. Okay. Sheikh Mohammed was then there. He wanted to send me there to study the Arabic. So I had to stay home for 1 year without going to secondary school. My colleagues went a year ahead of me. Subsequently, I want to thank Alhaji Umar of King Fahd University in Saudi Arabia is listening. Thank you so much for the influence you had on my dad, because he came home and convinced him that if he really wanted me to be a very good Islamic cleric, he should allow me to attain some appreciable level of Western education. So he saw the need for me to go to secondary school. So I then went to WALEWALE Secondary Technical, which was a day school for my O level. It was then after the O level.
It means those years or those days, it's like when you attend to educate, you were attending to the Western school, your religion will be changed. That's what their perception. That was the
fear.
That's the perception.
That was the perception.
Really?
Yeah, because truly speaking, most of the paysetters, those who got the opportunity to go to school from our areas there, they went to Catholic schools, they went in schools, their Muslim names were changed into Christian names. And then our parents had certain key examples, bad examples they could point at that these people became wayward, no longer social misfit, no longer practicing religion properly because they had the opportunity to go to school. The exposure also comes with its temptations of clinical,
Okay, that
which
was
was a
which
day
year?
school. I went there in 1987 and
87.
completed 1992 O level before I then went to Tamasco to do the A level, the sixth form.
So let's discuss from the 87 to Damascus, the life experience.
Truly speaking, I will say that I was a student that was very lucky in the sense that I had friends who motivated me. From my family background, there was no motivation at all because daddy, in his wisdom, didn't think that it was important for us to go to school. So he really, really didn't encourage us to go to school. So there was no home-based motivation. But friends we had in school, and then one particular man that I want to pay my respect to is one Mr. Usman Mahama, who's currently one of he's the HR director at ECG. The Tamal will call the what? Not the electricity department in Tamal VRA, who happened to have become a geography teacher, and he also encouraged me so much. We went to school with a lot of difficulties. The system wasn't as open as it is today. We were lucky at the time. That was when the era of pamphlets came, where people who could not afford the necessary books available were dependent on pamphlets to study. But some of us didn't even have the money to buy the pamphlets. I remember when I was going to go to secondary school, my mother had to sell her bag of shanat for me to go and register for the late entrance to be able to enter secondary school.
It wasn't easy.
So it was quite tough for some of us.
Is it that your father couldn't take care of you, or is that the father being stubborn that because of you changing your religion?
He was actually not interested in we.
So he's being stubborn.
But in terms of providing as a father, he was an excellent father.
The responsibility.
And that's the best father I've ever found in this world.
So for him paying your fees and other stuff is not part of his business.
It was at that time. You remember we had this northern thing. There was you were just paying some basic small amounts of money to be able to go to school.
Fees.
Yeah, but in terms of having some extra educational material like books, I remember our group. We used to have people who would go and buy the book, but was challenged in being able to understand. We'll bring it to you. You study it and teach them. Okay. So we're really committed, and we had a group. Abdullah of Tampulungi WALEWALE, and then Mr. Salifu of Gambaga District Assembly, and then Mr. Alhassan of VRA in Tamale. Thank you for the good company you provided when I was in secondary school.
Oh, okay. They helped you out.
We were together as classmates, and we really encouraged ourselves to do it. We're very poor children, coming from very poor backgrounds, no pay setters, no role models, and yet we encourage ourselves. Right from secondary school from one, we started calling Tamasco our school because we had a dream of going there for the A level.
Really?
And it really happened, yeah.
So let's share your Tabasco experience with us.
Yeah.
Someone out there, maybe someone is watching us.
It is also another important watershed in my life because when I wrote the O level, the results were very good. And then I don't know who advised my father at the time that it was important for me to go to training college. And that's at the time World Bank was financing training colleges. So they were getting huge allowances. That became a motivation for a lot of people to push their children to training college. So with the dream right from secondary school form 1 that I wanted to go to A level 6 form, somebody convinced my father that even if I had to go to school again, then I should rather go to training college to become a trained teacher.
Okay.
And that also became another problem between me and my father. But I was actually bent on going to 6th form. So I went to the A level without any support. Thanks to the Mr. Usman, and let me pay my respect to my elder brother, Mr. Muhammad Abdullah. He by then had gone into training college.
Okay.
So, and he was convinced by our teacher that if both of us were to go to A level, he was a year ahead of me. If both of us were to go to A level, there would have been a challenge with the financing. So he should go to the training college. Then one later when I was going to the A level, my brother was then in the training college at St. John Bosco's. So when I went to 6th form, when I was preparing to go to 6th form, he supported me financially. Okay. Mr. Usman also supported me financially. Now, an important person also came into my life. I had a distant uncle, Mr. Salifu Suleimana, who became the Tatko principal. With all apologies to my uncle, because people know you by that nickname, Pachus, let me mention that. Anybody listening will only know if I mention that Pachus. He is my father's cousin.
Oh, okay.
So my headmaster met him, and by then he wasn't the headmaster of Salaga Secondary. So he met him and said, look, your brother's son, your nephew, did very well at the O level. He's gone to Tamasco. A level, he would require support to be able to make it. In fact, I was in school for almost 3 months without paying my fees. And at that time, we used to pay one time. I mean, just pay once, one off payment for the 2 years.
Okay. Oh.
So it was 2 years, but you pay once. And I was in school for almost 3 months without having paid my fees. And why I was able to enter, and this is something important, why I was able to enter without paying the fees is that at that time, if you trusted yourself that you're going to be able to go to a sixth form, whilst you are writing the O level, you buy what we used to call sixth form card and fill it. And it's similar to the current computerized placement system.
Oh, okay.
It was not computer, but it was placement system. You buy it, fill, and then when the results are out, automatically they will send your results to the school. And the school you've chosen for the A level will then give you admission. So my admission letter to Tamasco was posted. Unlike where people had to go and pay their fees before they take the admission, my admission letter was posted to me at home through the post office. So I got it, and I was almost 3 months without money to pay my school fees. And then all of a sudden, the headmaster spoke to my uncle, and he came around. Mr. Salfo, thank you so very much for being the father you've been in my life. He came and paid the school fees for me. And then what was now the most challenging thing was the material for study, books. If you had gone into the Tamasco library, you find Asian books, hardcover. So those of us who had no money to buy the pamphlets depended solely on those books. But later on, that Mr. Salfo, I mean, he's a prolific writer, a colleague of mine, a friend. So what he used to do, that we could pick somebody's pamphlet and copy it into exercise books. And that is how we did the A level. And we used to tell ourselves that we are the musketeers who want to do it and do it the hard way. And we actually did it the hard way because we all succeeded in entering university after that A level.
Wow. So going through all those things, or those toughness in your life, what was your father's reaction?
Thank God, before my father passed, he had seen wisdom in Western education because we proved that it was not what he thought. So I remember he reporting the younger siblings who were reluctant and not serious with their studies to me. Every time I visit home, say, look, this person is not serious. You are paying the money. So he really, and I also think that he wasn't completely against Western education per se, because after his demise, may his soul rest in perfect peace. After his demise, I met the Alhaji Umar that I talked about. When Alhaji Umar finished A level and was going to stop going to school and go for Arabic study, he encouraged him to go to university.
So what
after his death? So he told me, when he told me after my father's death, I asked him what happened. He said, look, it is perhaps he had a lot of trust in that man, that no matter the amount of Western education he has, he will never go wayward. But for us, he didn't have that confidence in us. Perhaps the gentleman had proven to him that he was a different person. Because he used to go to school, and when he comes, he will come to him to study Arabic. So I'm sure he used his commitment level to gauge his level of faith in the religion. But for us, he wasn't very that confident. But thank God, before he passed on, he openly confessed to me that we had proven him positively wrong. Because I remember one particular Father's Day in 2000. And
we'll come to that part. So you moved from Tamasco to...
So when I finished the A level, you remember there was a university long strike.
Yeah, that was somewhere 94,
around 96, 97, 98, thereabout. So I was then teaching in WALEWALE Secondary School after the A level. I was teaching geography and economics at the university, at the secondary school. Then I got admission to enter University of Ghana in 1998.
The man from WALEWALE?
Yes, I got it. And that was my first trip to Accra.
The man from WALEWALE.
My first trip to Accra was when I had my admission to enter University of Ghana. So I was given, because I read economics, geography, government.
Let me chip into this one. Your first time being in Accra, what is the feelings for you being in Accra for the first time? The euphoria.
I wouldn't say that I was in Accra. I was in Legon. Because I didn't know any other place in Accra to go. So when I arrived, I took a taxi straight to University of Ghana campus. So ask me about what happened in
the first day at Lagos.
The inferiority complex of a village man in Accra was very high, because you felt that you came to meet people who were more intelligent than you are. You felt that you had people who were well dressed, and by their dressing alone, you gave them some respect. Then all that vanished when we started lectures. Now we realized after all, we also belong and we are really here and we arrived.
We are here.
So we regained our confidence. The economic aspect was terrible.
Yeah, let's talk about the economic.
When I arrived, once again, by then my father was now okay for me to go, but he really had no money. So when I was coming, this uncle of mine again in Saudi Arabia, Alhaji Umar, was the one who promised my father that if I get to Accra, he will support me to pay my school fees. And that's when the university introduced the academic facility user fees.
Okay.
So it became a problem for those who were coming from very poor conditions. So when I arrived, I actually got to Accra without money to pay my fees. And when I also got here, they made me a resident student. So I had no place to stay. And I had no money to pay my fees. And you know how much it was?
No.
It's today's 27 Ghana cedis.
My producer is shaking his head.
It's today's 27 Ghana cedis. I didn't have it to pay.
Then it's a huge money.
That my uncle who promised to give the money. You know when you travel from outside.
But then it was a huge, but that money is a huge money.
It was a lot of money.
That is 27. That is
270,000 at the time. So when my uncle promised to give me the money, he came from Saudi Arabia. He came back to WALEWALE. And I'm sure when he got to Accra, of course, when you come from abroad and you are going back, your finances will. So he promised to pay later. So he left. So he left and went back to Saudi Arabia. And then when he went back, and I came and went, he wasn't around. So I was stranded. Again, I want to, those who are listening, when you meet Mr. Isa Mbangya of Banni, who used to stay in Bokoduri, please kindly extend my regards and appreciation to the support offered, because the deadline arrived. About to leave.
You're about to leave.
I was about to leave University of Ghana because I didn't pay my fees, and the following day was the deadline for the payment of the fees. So when I passed word to my colleagues that I was leaving, then Mr. Isa heard it, and he looked for me that night. And he was then an agric officer who was on steady leave with pay. And he came to do diploma in agri. So simply, he was the one who he lent. He asked me, and I told him I was leaving the following. So he said, "Oh, he has some money in his account that he was not going to use in the next few months. So if I don't mind, he will lend me some money." So I borrowed 17 Ghana cedis from him the following morning and went and paid 50% of the fees. And that's how I became a student of University of Ghana. And I read geography, economics, and then political science. At that time, I don't know whether the University of Ghana still ran that system. There was a system where they will allow you to do either combined major or single major. So I did a combined major. So my first degree is in both economics and geography.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So after paying your fees in your first year, now you have friends. So how are you living? Paying your fees to survive?
I absolutely depended on two sources of income.
Which
my
is?
Senate loan and my uncle, the former TATCO principal, who used to also give me a little bit of financial support in addition to the student loan. There were questions where you have to borrow against the loan. And there was also a case that I was doing smart borrowing. Shall I tell you what I mean?
What
I was doing smart borrowing. I will come to you and ask you for a loan of 100 Ghana cedis, and I'll pay you in 2 weeks. We have an agreement. So when the 2 weeks deadline is about, I'll go to another person and borrow that 100 cedis
and pay you back.
Pay that back until I have my own money to defray that debt. So I did smart borrowing, and then also depended solely on the Senate loan, as well as my uncle occasionally sending me. I remember most of the time he used to give me 10,000 Ghana, which is today's 10 cedis. I remember that. Mr. Salifu Sulemana, popularly known as Kwachos, my uncle, you've been a blessing to me.
So, after any time, do you stay in Accra when it's vacation, or you go back to WALEWALE?
At the moment,
no. When I mean your school days,
we never had the capacity to stay in Accra one day after vacation. So we're always eager to leave.
Why?
Because life here was unbearable. So you will keep your lorry fare aside, and you are struggling to get to the final paper. Sometimes you book your STC ticket the evening of the day you are writing your last paper. And I think my last paper was always my worst paper because of the anxiety to leave.
Why?
Because you want to go home and that's the only paper left. So it's like you just want
to finish
and leave. And life here was hell. I remember I made a comment, and a friend of mine who happens to be a lecturer at UDA, he still remembers it. We ate kuli kuli with the gari We put kulikuli inside gari and added water with little sugar and we ate it. And we're going for a lecture. And I told him, I said, look, God has been so good to the poor man. So I said, look, if our stomachs were transparent, we wouldn't have been able to go to the class. So it tells you what
we are all equal.
We struggle.
No, like I mean, when you are out there, we are all equal.
We're all equal, but the people wouldn't tell what you take before
stomach.
coming to the class. You go to the class and make all the noise. And I said, no, we thank God that our stomachs are not transparent. Because we wouldn't be able to go for the lecture. Because our colleagues would have seen what we have eaten. That guy is a lecturer. He has the same name with me, Dr. Abdullah.
I'm sort of. So, anytime you go back to the WALEWALE, what is the people around your village? How do they see you? Like being Accra and being University of Ghana? Yeah. The name Ghana, the school of the country, Legon, the University of Ghana.
I think when I got to University of Ghana, that actually was one of the things that lifted the veil from my father's. He saw that it was real. Oh, okay. He never believed in it.
Now,
I remember the first time he questioned my level of education when he saw me teaching. After the A level, I was teaching WALEWALE schools, when there were teachers who wanted to write private exams to go to Winneba and other places. So I used to teach them. And these were teachers my father believed so much to be the elite of the society. Then he saw me teaching them.
My
son has arrived. And then when I entered the university, that sealed it. I remember one day, we came to the junction or WALEWALE station, the Gambaga station, and may the soul of Alhaji Lupi of Gambaga rest in peace. Then we met him there, and he was traveling to us. So we were having a conversation, and he asked my father, who is this? Oh, that's my son. He said, okay. Has he gone to school? He said, yes, he completed the University of Ghana. And has he learned part of the Islam? I said, no, he knows the little he should know to be able to practice religion. And when the man turned and said, oh, then Alhaji, you've done very well that your son has been able to get a university. And my father was a very frank, brutally frank man. He turned and told the man that, look, just appreciate the boy because he did it on his own.
Oh, nice one.
Without it, I didn't contribute to it.
Oh, I didn't contribute.
He did it on his own.
So when you were at school, your siblings, your other siblings, what did they do?
My elder brother then had become a teacher, a trained teacher, and he became the breadwinner of the family.
Okay.
God sometimes, my brother, whatever happens to you in life, just call back and accept it as a verdict from God. And in future, if you are alive, you will appreciate the reason behind God's action.
Okay.
My elder brother we completed middle school together, but he was a year ahead of me in secondary school. And then they cancelled our results in 1992 when we wrote the O-level because of perceived exam malpractice or whatever. So that delayed me another 1 year. So by the time I entered university, he was already a trained teacher.
As you said.
And he struggled to enter university and couldn't. He wanted to go to Winneba, but he tried a number of times and couldn't get. It was the year I completed university and went home as a substitute as the breadwinner of the family. Then he got the opportunity to go to Mampong to read Agric. So he's at the regional education office in his region as their budget officer. So the one who follows me, may he so rest in peace, he died 3 years ago, Ibrahim. He dropped from school, middle school, in 1984. He dropped out of middle school and he never continued. The one next to him is Idris. Idris who completed WALEWALE Senior High, now the new system, in 1994, but couldn't make it to any school. It was I who returned him to school in 2007, and he repeated Senior High 1 and completed. He's currently doing his degree in mathematics at Winneba.
Oh, nice one.
The third one. The fourth one is an Islamic cleric. I supported him too. He went to Senegal and stayed. He's back home as an Islamic cleric. Our last born went to secondary school. Unfortunately, he developed a mental problem. So he's home. He's not mad, but he's not being able to make it. So he's home. So this is, and then we have a girl who happens to be the only girl among us, but of a different mother. And she's also alone. And then through my first degree and the support and all those, and she's also a graduate teacher.
Nice one.
And she's home.
As for the northern part, in terms of education, it's especially when you've decided to allow yourself to go to school. I think it's something that you won't take it away from you. Everything.
And one thing I will applaud us for is our resilience. We have the resilience. We have all the challenges, but when we say we want to do it, we do it.
Well done. We are done with the part 1. I think this one is one or almost one and two.
I think I after the first degree here, I later on did my master's.
Okay.
I did my master's in Cape Coast in governance, democracy, law, and development. And I am currently a PhD candidate in the final year, University of Ghana, geography.
Okay. We are done. I think we are done with. Yeah, almost part 2. We have 30 minutes already. Wow. So we are heading to the part 3. I'm enjoying the conversation, and I don't know whether we'll pick 1 or 2 messages before we continue from my producer. I think we have 3 messages or not. Okay.
Honorable, it shall be well with you. WALEWALE is not envious of you. You shall make it. Another one coming from Deputy Hon.Abubakari is one person I always like to listen to. He speaks maturely at all times. Thanks and more bliss, my role model. Another one also coming from Hamid, the great man. He refers to Honorable as a great man. Then the last but not the least coming from Musa Inusa. Musa Inusa is watching you live from Accra. What a lovely story. May your dreams come true, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So if you just join us, I have with me Honorable Abubakar Abdullah, former Northern Regional Minister and NDC 2020 parliamentary candidate for WALEWALE. So we'll jump to politics. He came from PNC, then joined NDC. They always CC. So I asked him what is the so special about the C, not the P, but why the C? So if you just join us, send your comment and your message, like our page, my story show on Facebook and YouTube channel, subscribe our channel, send your comments and any question we will answer you. So I feel no here, many Northern Regional Minister NIAD, Hon.Abubakar Abdullah on an NDC 2020 election, of course, we NDC candidate no WALEWALE on now I'm the buy it. On yedi ne fie nkomo kwa of BP University, the way he started his life to become a graduate. Honorable, we are done. We are almost done. I thought that we are in the first part, but then it was the second part. 32 minutes already. Now, when did you start to do politics?
I started politics in 2008 with PNC.
Okay.
So
as what?
As parliamentary candidate. So I've contested parliamentary elections 4 times in WALEWALE consecutively.
And you've not won one of them?
I have not won. And I won't quit until I win.
What happened in 2008?
2008, then Edward Muhammad was then the presidential candidate. So I got a call. By then I was then we haven't spoken about my working career. So by then I was then the director of the governance program in Ibis, West Africa, in Ghana, based in Tamale. And some young men of the PNC party mobilized themselves and came that they were looking for a credible candidate who lead the party. And there was a precedence. PNC had won the WALEWALE seat in the 2000 elections. And in 2004, they lost it to the NDC. So 2008, they were looking for a candidate that will win back the seat. So I went in as a candidate and contested the election. I did not win. But I'm proud to say that I was the candidate with the highest votes in PNC in the whole Ghana.
2008.
2008.
Okay, you lost, and NDC came to power.
Unless NDC came to power, and the NDC won. NDC
came to power.
Power in 2008. Yes. So I lost the seat.
So what happened?
And then 2012, I went back again as a PNC candidate. By then I was in the Action Aid Programs Manager.
Okay.
For Northern Region. So I resigned the position and went and contested 2012 again as the parliamentary candidate. Again, I lost. Then there were calls from both the MPP and the NDC that they needed me to join. I had meetings with His Excellency the Vice President asking me to join the MPP. And I also had meetings with people in the NDC asking me to join the NDC. I chose to go by the NDC.
Why?
The values and the principle of the NDC resonates with my value systems. I'm an Nkrumahist. Okay. And anything against Nkrumah, I don't like it.
And that means?
That means the 2 major political parties in Ghana is the Nkrumahists and the UGCC guys, the MPP, the Buja Down contract. So if you are a true Nkrumahist, I believe that you are
placed. Why is there a PNC, CPP?
Oh, PNC was a split of CPP. It came through that. Hilary Man, and after that. So he's part of the same party. So I'm in Nkrumah, I'm a social democrat. And that was the reason.
When did you become a full-time NDC?
I joined the NDC immediately after the 2012 elections. Because by then people were calling on me, please, if you want to grow in your political career, PNC is wasting your time. And truly speaking, I realized it myself because I was not getting support from anywhere to contest. And I was using my own resources. So the two elections, I used my own resources. And the national level office was actually not paying attention to the seat. Yeah. So, and I came in, actually, I won the primaries, the PNC primaries, 3 months before Dr. Bawumia was picked as a running mate. So that turned everything around. So I have been in the game with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia right from 2008 up to date. So we are on.
And you became a regional minister when?
Yeah. So what happened was that when I joined the NDC in 2012, when we were approaching the 2016 elections, because of the negotiations we had, I got the opportunity to contest in the primaries of the NDC in 2015.
Oh, okay.
So I won the primaries and became the NDC parliamentary candidate. But at that time, I was working for Action Aid Denmark as a HRB, what we call the Human Resource Based Approach Programming Advisor, based in Malawi.
Oh, okay.
So I won the primaries, then I went back to my duty post in Malawi to continue my work until a period where, when we got close to the elections, then I'll come home. Then I felt His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in his wisdom, thought that it was important that I come home. So in February 2016, when he did his last reshuffle, Hon.Abubakari Limuna was then the Northern Regional Minister. He moved him to Agric and then appointed me the Northern Regional Minister. So I took office in 3rd March 2016 as the Northern Regional Minister.
Then you said that my politics is on the peak.
Of course, that was a next level for me.
How did you feel?
Nice.
When the president mentioned your name, that you being a regional minister, someone who came from nowhere in WALEWALE, the poor man's son, who's struggling in university days, now a whole president pick a phone to call you, say you. Even though then you move from PNC to NDC, just for less than 4 years, and the president pick phone.
That came to affirm my faith. Yeah, I believe that God has a scheme. In Islam, I believe in predetermination.
I just want to, day you were called Honorable.
The day they called me, I was out of the country when my constituency secretary called. And nobody called me to tell me I was going to be appointed.
Okay.
I only knew they were considering a position for me, but as to what it was, I didn't know. And then when I was going to be appointed, because nobody called me to say, oh, the president says he's appointing you, not the minister. No. I only got up one Saturday morning, and the constituency secretary called me and I picked. And I was outside Ghana. When I picked, he said, good morning. I said, good morning. And he happened to have been my student.
Oh, okay.
Those who are listening should know that Adam, the constituency secretary, was my student in WALEWALE school. I taught him well. So he's been my friend since then. So he called and I said, congratulations. I said, what congratulations? Then he said, you have been made a minister. And I said, what minister? Then he said, Northern Regional Minister.
I said, huge.
I said, what? He said, yes. Then he cut the line. Then I made noise. And I had a British neighbor. There was a white lady who was sharing the other part of the apartment. She heard me making noise alone. Then she ran to ask me and I told her. So everybody in the camp, there was another guy who was also living in another apartment from Sierra Leone. We all started jubilating.
Whether it's true or false?
No, I checked the online news and it was there. And my picture was there, so it was confirmed. But we made noise, like we all celebrated. And that evening, the white lady had to take us out for dinner for us to celebrate it.
When you took over the northern region, there's no savannah and northeast.
Yeah.
Take us through when you took over as a northern regional minister.
You see, I took over with a number of complex issues. I took over as a parliamentary candidate, which was an election year. I was a parliamentary candidate, and it was election year, and the region was big. I never got the opportunity to tour the whole of the region before the election.
It's too big.
There were certain districts I couldn't visit before.
It's too big.
And yet I had to also do my campaign. And I was also campaigning in the hometown. I was campaigning in the hometown of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, WALEWALE. So there were 3 important things that
You also have to campaign when the president comes around.
I was also campaigning for other parliamentary candidates in the
Because you're a
region.
regional
And
minister.
we're regional minister. We're going to other constituencies for campaign and all.
Bagbe was
So
under
it was-
you. Bagbe, Haruna
No,
Idusu.
Babin is from Upper West.
Okay,
It's
Bagbe
Honorable
from
Haruna Idusu, that is in
Haruna
Tamale.
Idusu.
His constituency is in Tamale.
And
He cannot be under me. That's a powerful man.
no, but then you are a regional minister,
Of
so
course.
all the constituency under you.
But he was also a minister. And he's a powerful man. He cannot be under me.
They were what is the name? John Jinapo is under you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the region was, you were the commander in chief of the region.
We actually had 31 constituencies.
Yeah, so the constituency was big.
Yeah, it was big. Yeah. And there was also chieftaincy issue that the Abudu and Dani case was still lingering. There were a number of issues. I also came and played my part.
So it wasn't easy for you.
It was not easy.
You came in a tough time.
Yeah.
Because even the distance, the only thing you had there is like you have a good road. After the roads, you guys, if your road are bad like Accra, you suffer a lot.
And then I also came in with the perception. Many people thought that I was a small boy. People thought I was a small boy, so people felt I wouldn't be. In fact, there was a journalist who even wrote an article thinking that I was not going to be able to handle it.
Small boy as a minister.
But I've always been resilient in my life.
So, WALEWALE, then you contested
2016. We went in, the NDC lost the election.
Now let's discuss about the 2016 election, WALEWALE.
Yeah.
The hometown of the current vice president. Then it was running mate for the New Patriotic Party. You guys, from your house to his mother's place is not far, because I know, at least I know WALEWALE a little bit.
Yeah.
Take us through what happened in 2016 election. You were in a regional minister, the party was in power.
Yeah.
And he is the opposition, the largest opposition, and the running mate.
One thing about you should remember that our people vote, our people in the area vote basically based on certain considerations. The WALEWALE campaign has always been a campaign that is talked about as if it is Abuba versus His Excellency the Vice President as a candidate. So the argument was that there was no way they could choose a minister. They could choose a minister over a vice president. And that was tough. But I did my best. And at the end of the day, I lost the parliamentary elections by 2,580 votes. And I feel that it was an achievement. Okay. To have lost the election in 2016 by 2,580 votes, in my opinion, was an achievement because nobody expected us to perform that way, and we did.
So this is what I want us to. I want you being a regional minister then, and you also being the soil, the son of the soil, and you have, as we are saying, you have the running mate. Then your people are saying between the regional minister and the vice president.
Yes.
What was your message then as a regional
minister? I try as much as possible to decouple the vice presidential slot from the parliamentary slot, but I didn't succeed because the MPP in my constituency don't campaign with the name of their parliamentary candidates. They campaign with the name of the vice president against Abuba. And because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is not from that area, nobody talks about him. They often will want to compare rather, instead of comparing His Excellency John Dramani Mahama with Nanado, okay, and comparing our running mate with their running mate and comparing the parliamentary candidate to me, they would rather cut everything short and compare me to His Excellency the Vice President. And the contest looks like I am the one contesting with him. So one of the things that actually happened that people don't know that I want to take this platform to let people know is that as a regional minister, you become the chairman of the Regional Security Council. And there was a research.
There's one question. Let's
take a question. Yeah.
Okay. Abdullah Aziz, the first person who made me admire politics. He is very frank and factual. The only hindrance to his political career. Hon.Abubakari, continue with your frank nature. Inshallah, your time will come. Abdullah, my number one Hon.Abubakari. Another one from Abuyen, Azukuru, Albert. Dobi Abu, God bless you. I don't know whether it is.
Dobia in Mamprele is an appellation. When they want to say you are a strong person.
So here comes in the question. He said he heard you mention the Abudus and the Danis about the conflict between them. So will you give credit credit to this current government or the president for resolving the issue?
Not exactly. Not exactly. And yet I can't also take the credit away from them completely because they played. It was a build-up right from the beginning when it happened. His Excellency, the former president, President Kufuor, set up the eminent chiefs, the Nairi, the Yagbawuru, and the Ashantehini to steer the affairs. So it was basically these people who were leading. So when President Kufuor left, His Excellency John Dramani Atamils came, continued the process, then got to what is the name? Got to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He continued, and I also came in. And the time I came in, we had finished building the houses of the sub chiefs that were killed, and I handed over personally the keys of one of the houses to one of the chiefs, the Zohalana, to enter. And what was left for the issue to be resolved was the performance of the funerals of the two former Yanas and then the inskinment. So it's a process. And people build on from one day. So nobody can claim absolute credit for what happened. But I want to say that the NDC played the majority role. What was just left. In fact, I remember the last call I got from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama after I had given the key. Just about the eve of the election, he told me, Abuba, let us stop all matters related to this chieftaincy until after the election because the situation is volatile. And we lost the elections. So I wouldn't give credit entirely to the MPP. One thing actually I can say that they did that I admire was the fact that they were bold and didn't allow some people to have their way. The NDC hit a block, and that block was coming from our stronghold.
Okay.
So it was difficult to look them in the face and tell them certain things. But because they were not their people, it happened. So we all contributed our quota to solving the problem.
Okay, let's.
Someone just sent something to confirm what you're saying. Ibrahim Rashid, Hon.Abubakari is always resilient and brutally frank. It's well. The contest for WALEWALE seat since Bawumia's appearance has tended to be Bawumia versus Abubakar. That's running mate versus parliamentary candidate, and now vice president versus Abubakar. God be with Abubakar now and forever until he is secure. That is from Ibrahim Rashid.
So, Honorable, 2020, I think we are getting close to that. 2020, you went for the election again against now your sister, who has been nominated to become the minister for gender. Adia. From the soil, as you, you contested with her and she won. What happened? This time you have a vice president.
We had a vice president.
Now you are no more.
And this was my best performance. I performed better than when I was a minister.
Really?
The last time I lost by 2,580. This time I lost by 1,679.
So there's a loss.
But I'm saying that it's narrow. So it tells you that I'm getting there.
You are getting there.
I'm getting there. And in politics, I have my philosophy. If you don't win, you don't quit.
In the case, the vice president wants to become the flag bearer of the party. This will be worse for you because even he being a running mate, the campaign against you, you lost massively.
In politics, sometimes
now,
if he becomes
the flag bearer of the party, this will be times two. Even the running mate, you lost, and then
it does. You see, you should have known that I'm not afraid of losing. You should know that I'm not afraid of losing. I came from a poor background, and I'm not doing PAD. I have the resilience to face any mountain in this world. I get the point right. I've lost 4 times. And this 2024 election, I'll be the first person to pick my nomination form to contest WALEWALE. Because I'm saying that no, we go for primaries and I win. It's not like they don't have. It's not like I'm selected. We go for primaries and I win. And this election, there are people who are going to contest me. If I win the primaries, I'll go again and I believe I'm going to win. And I'm telling you that in politics, my mantra is that if you don't win, you don't quit. And I got that inspiration. I've been with him since 2008.
He is going to be the flag bearer of the party.
I have been with him since 2008.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to campaign and tell the people what I can do. If they vote for me, fine. If they don't vote for me,
do you want president or do you want MP?
It doesn't matter. But I will still go and talk to the people. That's why the fact that he was there and he was there as a vice president, some people saw value in me and voted for me. There will always be people who are believing you.
Are you okay with the other region that they created out of the northern region?
Yes. I was solidly in support of it. I campaigned for it. I contributed to it. I attended the meeting. because I think the northern region was too large.
Do you think you still divide the northern region?
Of course, I know in future it will still be divided because at the moment it's still one of the biggest regions in Ghana. But you know, sometimes the demarcations are based on certain delineation. The delineation of the areas are sometimes based on certain factors, including traditional authority. So once the rest of them are all under the Yana, it may not be feasible for them to divide it. But as time goes on, definitely, it's something that might happen.
Yeah, you people have lands.
Of course, vast land that has not been utilized.
But there's a place I pay a visit in WALEWALE, like Changa.
Janga. Yeah.
When it's rain, I don't think people can cross to WALEWALE town. What are you people doing? When
that road, you know, there's a depression. It's some rice valleys there, and that depression, the water sometimes cross the street. That road, and I want people who are listening from Mampurugu to know. When I became the regional minister, I sent people there to go and do the bills of quantities for the construction of that road. That was when I got to know that it was 26 kilometers. We took it to public procurement. For them to fix that road. And the contractor they chose was then the one who was doing the work between Tamale and Karaga. So he never came to site before we lost the election. But the MPP government is fixing the road. Oh, okay. So that problem will be solved.
Oh, because when I went there, I was like, so imagine when I went there was rice.
Particularly if you go to your friend's hometown, the MP's hometown. Even up to this, Apraraji's hometown. If it rains, there are certain places you can go. And I think, because I think she has a responsibility to fix it. Of course, that's why we're here. But the fact that you are my friend doesn't take it away that she's also your friend.
You are both my friend and her.
Okay, but the fact of the matter is that she has to fix that road before they lose the election in 2024.
Are you sure they're going to lose? Okay, there's a message. Let me take the message.
Said 2024 is a damn deal, inshallah, with a lot of love emojis. Then there comes Mashwood Isif Muhammad. He says the remarkable achievements recorded under him in the WALEWALE constituency is unprecedented.
Yeah.
By far, he is the first candidate and minister to extend electricity to 22 communities.
Yeah.
Drilled 100 boreholes under the China Aid
program.
Began the construction of WALEWALE town roads.
Yeah.
And another one coming from Abdullah Abdullah says, if you don't win, you don't stop.
Yeah,
Power
you don't.
to the people, service to the people.
Exactly.
Son of the development general, we all love.
Thank you so much.
So, Honorable, as you are saying, she has the responsibility to take care of. You've been to WALEWALE when she became the member of parliament and a deputy minister for gender. Now nominated for Minister for Gender. Is there any improvement in WALEWALE? You know,
you see, there is a problem people must know. And it's very painful, honestly. As a development practitioner, it's very painful. Everyone who has had the opportunity to serve under John Mahama, unfortunately, they are all living under the shadow of the vice president. And they are not living up to expectation. So for the period that the MPP has been in power, their MPs have been non-performing. And that is because they are all looking up to the vice president. So even MPs from other constituencies where Dr. Vice President is not there, and the MPs are in opposition like Naleru, the Honorable Alhaji Baba, they are doing better. If you go to my constituency, you cannot point a single thing where you say that the former MP and the former MP before Haji Larba and the current Haji Larba, you cannot pinpoint anything significant they have done as members of parliament. They are all living under the shadow of the vice president. And the vice president too.
So I'll come to you. Do you mean under Ajia Alima Mama did well than the rest?
What I'm saying is
no, you compare like.
And I'm comparing my member of parliament of the NDC in Naleru Gambaga to the performance of the MPs in WALEWALE who are MPP.
Who government is
who they're going in power, the vice president is from there, and yet Alhaji Baba is even doing better than her. And that is because they are living under the shadow of the vice president. So they are, so you think he's using his personal money to do that? It's about having the acumen, the skills to engage in development work. And there are people who go into politics because they want to get the opportunity to amass wealth. And because the vice president is sitting there, all of them are pitting their problems on the vice president and failing to perform their roles.
This opportunity is advantage for you.
Advantage for who? Advantage for them to amass their wealth.
It's advantage for you to campaign against.
Because I'm not campaigning against them. Nobody. I don't. In WALEWALE constituency, the campaign is not about me and them. It's about me and vice president. Everybody knows that.
So in 2024,
yes.
Now the vice president. Let's talk about the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable with the dollar, the CD, the fuel prices, and the food?
I'm not comfortable, but the IGP has failed to find the key because they arrested it. I don't know what happened and it escaped. As for the economy, you don't need economics to understand the situation.
Is your brother?
Who?
The one in economy wizard and the one in charge of the economy. From the soil from WALEWALE.
I don't talk about my brothers when the story is bad. I really don't like talking about my brothers when the story is bad. The narrative is negative, so I don't want to go there. I'll be accused of abusing or verbally assaulting my elder brother. Let's leave it at that. What I want you to know is that Ghanaians.
But they use him a campaign against you anytime you contest.
The lives of the people in WALEWALE constituency will let them know the reality. I'm not the one to say it. If you go to buy a bag of fertilizer and you have 400 Ghana cedis and you cannot that bag of fertilizer, I'm wondering whether the price of bag of fertilizer in WALEWALE is different from the one in Accra because we have Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We'll go and ask the question. The fact that you have a vice president coming from that area, do you have the bag of fertilizer being lower, price being lower than the other people? We are in the same economy. And when they were touting their competence, we are competent. Men is not about balls alone.
But it's about what?
It's about people who have the necessary skill sets and even the right attitude to deliver the work. Competence is measured by what? When they were talking about competence, what is it? Competence is measured by the outcome of your work. Tell me a single intervention the MPP government has put in place. Look at the problem. You think this is the way we couldn't do that and we said we shouldn't do it that way? The problems we are facing were the reason why NDC said let's do it progressively. This is not what we were talking about. This is not the kind of free exchanges we're talking about. People are even paying more than NABCO. Don't you hear them crying all over the place?
But they were unemployed.
Everything. Are they employed? Are the NABCO people employed?
Oh, I think the last time I read it.
What is employment?
They've been employed. They've been receiving salary, I think, for 3 years.
Allowance or salary?
Allowance. It's better than you sitting home.
But yes, I don't want to talk in a way that will make it look like I'm belittling what the NABCO people are getting. But what I'm saying is that tell me a single intervention the MPP government has put in, has put in place that doesn't have problems.
No, like they did one. The Doomsaw is no more. But
no, they didn't solve the Doomsaw problem. The MPP didn't solve that. We solved the Doomsaw problem. Everybody knows that.
Let me pick the question.
Viewers want to be sure of this because there's a message from Mashwood Isif Muhammad. It's important to put it out there that whereas JM and the NDC solved Doomsaw, WALEWALE is currently experiencing a Doomsaw never seen before.
Yes.
I want to use your medium to let the world know that the situation over there at WALEWALE, we ourselves find it very difficult to solve it under the so-called Vice President Hon.Abubakari.
And he's
want to know whether it is true that
it is. And WALEWALE, they were even planning a demonstration because of this. Because I understand the system that was put in place is the old system, so it needs some general overhauling. But unfortunately, nobody seems to bother. Nobody seems to bother. WALEWALE has no government, my brother. There's no.
Somebody wants to know, but still, I'm watching you live from BC. Ask Hon.Abubakari whether he knows it. I don't know whether I didn't pronounce it.
Yeah, that's it. Dimsi. I know Dimsi. I know Dimsi. I know Dimsi.
You are a very nice person. That is Basiru.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you so much. Answer a few minutes. 2024, yes. I'll be the first parliamentary candidate to announce that I'm coming back to contest the 5th time. And I got my inspiration from a book I read some time back. The title, go and look for the book. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Okay? And in life, you are not a failure until you quit. And I'm never going to be a failure. I will try and try and try until I win. And then when I win, people will see why I kept trying.
Why don't I win your PA? Will you appoint me as your PA?
Let's work together.
No, but the point is, now I think we will come to. So, apart from politics, what do you do?
My professional career has been a development practitioner. So when I finished the first degree here first, I was one of the very lucky graduates because I was unemployed for only 16 days. Then I got a job with a USAID funded project where I worked on a project called GATE program, Governance and Accountability Improves Trust. So we're more like transparency, advocacy, and governance issues. After which later on, I got the opportunity to work with IBIS West Africa. I became a program facilitator, later became the program director for their governance program. Then after that, I joined Action Aid and became the Northern Region programs, the programs manager for Northern Region and Action Aid Ghana. Then after that, when I lost the 2012 election, then I also got appointed I went for some interview process in Kenya and other things and became an international advisor in Action Aid Denmark at a project called People for Change, where they send expatriates who have certain skill sets to go influence programming in the other. So I became their human rights-based approach advisor and something we call reflection action participatory methodology advisor. So that is what I do. But when we lost the election in 2016, 2017, I did some consultancies. But 2018, towards the end, I decided to come for this PhD program. And it's for University of Ghana's PhD is now 4 years. And because of the COVID also, we lost time. So our academic calendar has changed. So I'm in the final year and I'm working on my thesis.
Oh, okay. Nice one.
Full student.
Are you a father? Are you a married man?
Very married to a very beautiful woman. The best woman next to my mother.
So are you a father?
I'm a father of 5, 2 boys, 3 girls. The first one is currently in secondary school. They are the candidates for the final year.
Okay.
And then the second one is also in senior high. And the others are still in JSS and junior high and primary.
Are you planning to get another one?
That is strictly a private matter for me to discuss with my wife. Strictly a private matter.
Islam allows you to do that. So
it's not everything that is allowed that people want. And it's not everything that is allowed that you should do.
Okay, I think I have one question. I don't know what I will praise you because for a very long time, receiving message on the show like this, you have made it today. And the viewers, I thank all the WALEWALE bloggers.
They should subscribe.
Then you subscribe my YouTube channel for me and also share. We have more people. And I promised them to bring your brother from Gambaga. I'm still having...
I can get him for you.
Yeah, we are having the production.
Okay.
Along the way, so we'll get it.
Okay. Abdullah is one of the best testers today. He's a part of Dr. Baumia's own community in WALEWALE Electricity.
Pierga.
Old people.
Pierga.
And Zelela Aziz, the woman you snatched from me. Laugh out loud.
The reason is that in Northern Ghana, I know that guy. In Northern Ghana, we have this tradition where you are paternal auntie, your auntie's daughter or your uncle's daughter, and I mean paternal and maternal. Maternal uncle's daughter, and then paternal auntie's daughter is traditionally considered your wife. So if you get married to somebody like that, the person can say that you have taken his wife.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't elope anybody's wife. It's a cultural thing. He's a foolish boy, don't mind him.
Oh, no, this question is coming personally from me.
Yes, sir.
I want to know your biggest fear.
Truly speaking, the biggest...
This from the director of the
I agree. My biggest fear is the fear of my conscience. Before I can get afraid of anything, it is if my conscience judges me bad. So I can be accused of all the bad things in the world. Once my conscience clears me that I'm innocent, I can sleep within the midst of that noise. And anytime at all I'm in a room alone, I may be physically alone in that room, but I'm in there with my conscience and my God. And these people, God and my conscience, are the people I fear most.
Yeah, we are almost done with the interview. But my last part, you are a father. You came from a poor background.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these days, the young ones always want to be rich so quick. Get rich and die young.
Yeah.
That is what is going on. You being a father with 5 children, you have 3 girls, 2 boys. Educate them, advise to the youth of today.
Before I advise them, I would like to advise parents first. I see those guys who do those things sometimes as victims.
one long message. So
I
let's
see
take that
that.
one.
I see those guys who are involved in this evil means of making money as victims and not culprits. And the reason why I see them as victims is that parents have reneged on their responsibility to conduct proper upbringing of their children. And when you allow them the freedom to do whatever they want, later in life, they make certain choices that are bad. And you begin to accuse them. Sometimes it is just that they themselves don't even appreciate the things they do. So my first issue to be to appeal to parents. My brother, a fowl can defend its chicks at its own peril. But a fowl doesn't benefit in any way from its chicks when they grow. We should learn the concept of responsibility as parents from even the animals. If you watch the animals kingdom, you will find a bull, a buffalo, facing lions to defend a little one. Today's parents don't do that. Today's parents, we give up to children and we allow them to do whatever they want. So that's the problem. So these parents should sit up and take the responsibility as parents. Because for us in Islam, we say that everything that you have been blessed with by God, you will account for it when you stand before Him. So first, that's the beginning. And for the young ones who are doing it, please, if you don't know that it's bad, watch those who have done it before you, and you will see wisdom and change your ways.
Okay, there's a message.
No, but a lot of appellations are just so bad because of time. Just keep one. Matthew 50 to Mama says WALEWALE is under the Wungu traditional period. In 2016, under the leadership of Hon.Abubakari, the road leading from WALEWALE to Wungu, as well as Wungu town roads, were awarded on contract with work starting. However, for 7 years now, that road has been abandoned by Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and his NPP. In fact, had it not been the intervention of the paramount chief Mba Nazuri, the youth of Wungu were to stage a demonstration today, but a call to the chief from the office of the VIP, which is the vice president, pleaded for us to come down. Same with other roads such as WALEWALE to Zangu, Dimia to
Guabalaga,
and Paribu
to Shinwaya, which I started, they abandoned all of them.
So, we will have to end the show, but I was about to say something, and the message just dripping. If you want to read the message in which we won't end the show today, I'm happy that I have you on the show, and I'm glad, and I wish you all the best as you are planning to go back to WALEWALE seats. And before I leave you, you're a traditional man. Let your people know that you came to the show, and the message to the people in there.
Don't wanna mpuhuru mampuruguza nangba yini mbana yiri nunyanga nka hankuli yini na wa wale mbala ma mbadurana mbadbishana bana nya wa wale zantol sakate beni bana ko hona numana woni pasan yovia na on dol se yovia ma abu bantu aharma tumantu ala zanchangi tangbanga labagasi yatu kande yata ngwan wumne za ngwan ba mani 2024 ba ban bo horen ne kala abu banan la yina bon namla mbiya chan ala yetu vote man kandi mu yiti vote ma kandi yambanga dali sha din chakan yana mbiya chama because mala alkawli ni nauni ni shekan bazan karaki tarima nin sukurtar ma on kutin bang ma bukata mun ni tigni na politics ne kan tun kula la bukata ma da zuko kan palen jaben ma yar ya nyu ya dol ma katinya din tibiya ba hago bundu yudukuni kanan ya asa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Malaikum salam. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much.
It's Friday. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so very much. And then I have a promise to redeem with you. So let me remind you, when you came home, when you came with a group of journalists, interviewed me, I promised you guys I was winning WALEWALE. I failed to do it. I'm still on course. I will redeem that promise. I will win WALEWALE seat.
I have to confess it. And I remember, let me say this on this show. The day I paid the visit to the Honorable resident, that was the first time I met him. And the man was so humble. The man just sat on the ground and we should sit down on the ground. Let's have a chat. I was like, wow. Someone who I'm working with, his political party radio station on Man FM. The man said, come on, even you will be my best friend, not the rest.
Yeah,
because of
I remember that.
And I was like, wow, this man. But I wish him all the best, but all the best, not truly to the up, but because my party has a candidate there.
Yeah.
And I think we wish you all the best in your next academic, whatever you are. you want to do in life. And as
I'm hoping that towards the end of the year, I should have finished with this PAD. Then you will see me in your TV stations and radio stations.
And I always be there to also assist in the media. Anything
Beautiful.
you need. If you
Thank
need
you.
a story with you,
Thank you so very much.
And it's my pleasure to have you on my show.
I thank you so much, and I
it's not
thank
easy
you,
to have
I thank you, our director, and thank you, our
It's
technical
not easy
team.
to have a
for the
minister on your
opportunity.
show, a whole regional minister on your
A
show.
former.
But you are a former regional minister. It's a big
The minister, the former minister of Agriculture said we are no longer honorables. We are horrible.
A former regional minister, when he was a regional minister, the region was big.
Yeah.
From what can I mention? Let me see if I can mention.
From Bali, Bali to
Bali
to Cherponi,
from Tripoli, from Bimbila, to Walewale, to Damango,
all these places.
What's the name? Georgian Post constituency.
Oh, you want to talk about Bupe Yape?
Yape
Kusogo, yeah.
Yes, that is the constituency. Yape Kusogo.
Yeah.
Your way to Tamale, the red, white voter and the black voter. Yes.
And I also, if I can just say something, I also think that I have a vision for my political career, and His Excellency Donald Mahama has helped me to get to some level. And I really thank him so much, and I wish him well. And that is the very reason why I prefer him as a candidate of Ghana to even my own brother Bawumia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The former regional minister for the Northern Region, Hon.Abubakari.
Thank you very
the
much.
former Northern Regional Minister, and the son of the soil from WALEWALE constituency, who brothers is the current Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Hon.Abubakari, and his sister is the Minister designated for the gender, former Deputy Minister for gender.
The most politically incompetent brother and sister I've ever had.
So, the show will be back on Tuesday. So, to my brothers, those who subscribe today and send a message, I will plead with you. Tuesday we'll be back with another show. It's a Tuesday and Friday. So if you don't know the show now, the show is called My Story Show. You can subscribe our channel on Facebook, YouTube, and you can subscribe our channel on Facebook. And there's a channel coming out. It's called Figo TV. Very soon we'll bring all the political people. I can do honorable. That one we'll do it only political and bring all the news. So you come to WALEWALE. We'll have you guys on the road and we interview you guys. So I thank you all for your message, your time, watching the show. I thank my production team, Richard Boateng, Richard Kujo, John Kofireko, Emmanuel Boateng, Kwadwo Nyantachi. Then my wife, my wonderful wife, assistant producer to the show. This is Rita.
And you have to thank my wife too. She's doing extremely well. She's a wonderful woman. My wife, please do that. She's called Zalhatu.
Thanks to
Madam Zalhatu.
Zalhatu.
Or VRA in Tamale.
Hey, so your wife, she works in the public sector.
VRA. Hey, thank her for me.
Okay, thank you, madam.
She's the best wife I've ever seen.
Madam, I'm thanking again.
She's a wonderful woman.
God bless you.
I made the right choice. Even as a young man, I was able to choose a woman that is that perfect. So you know.
I'll not thank her. God should bless her. That was most important.
Amen.
I wish her all the best.
Thank you.
I wish you also.
Thank you very much.
So guys, Tuesday our guest is a former footballer, now a pastor. Awulikwe Junior, former House, former Great Olympic, former Zamalek player, who will be on the show. God willing, Tuesday 12 o'clock. See you there. Have a wonderful day. Tomorrow, the Premier League is starting today. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace is starting today, and the games will continue from tomorrow. So, guys who are watching for the first time, every weekend stay tuned to Mass TV. You see me there. I do football as well. So if you see my Mass TV, I used to feature my talk video on the show, Mass TV. Then from tomorrow, I don't think tomorrow I'll be on Mass TV because tomorrow is the first game for Liverpool. The season starting. And before I leave, today is Friday, and my brothers and sisters, there's one thing I've realized that I'll ask you, have you seen a car carrying eggs involved in accident most of the time? Have you
No, I haven't noticed that.
Why that when you are carrying human beings?
Yeah.
We are careful when you are driving like eggs. Car carrying eggs are very careful. But when you are driving human beings, they are so careless.
Yeah.
Please, our brothers and sisters, life is very, very important. We need each one of us to be alive. So please, drivers on the road, I can drive a face from Usiaka de Nyakoishia. And so Nipa de Islam.
Yeah.
You guys to take good care of our brothers and sisters. Very carefully. And those parents who allow their children to sit on front without seatbelt, they should be careful. Because it's advised, it's not good to let your child be on the front of the car. When you sit in the car, those who are well-educated people say that don't allow the child to be on the front. So please, you should be very, very careful. Parents, should be very careful, guys. Well, today is Friday. Hon.Abubakari has done with his own. When he went to Juma, tomorrow is Saturday. Our brothers who attend 7 days will go to Sunday. Is another church day. I'm a member of the Apostolic Church. Please find a church, and then next week Sunday I'm preaching. So next week Sunday, God
That's okay.
I'm preaching. So I wish my viewers can come to my church, Apostolic Church Ghana, Nibwema Central. Our church is located at La Paz Community opposite. So please find a time and join it. Anywhere you can hear the Almighty God name is mentioned, find a place and worship. Because very soon, guys, the word will be end, and you should be very careful. Make sure that you be good to your brother, good to your sister. Be brother's keeper. Let's love and let's make sure this country become a peaceful country. Don't drink and drive. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so very much.